on the vibration that we ourselves express it. Okay? So at the end of a day, or the end of an incarnation, what we're looking at, each chakra vibrates according to how much energy we've added to it. Now, this chakra system also, and I'm not going to be, I'll come to that in a moment, this chakra system also carries from incarnation to incarnation. This is the medium by which karma is carried. So let's say, for example, there's somebody close to us who wants to be close to us, but we don't really like them very much. And so we're always conscious of the fact that I don't like you very much. You know, you want to be friends with me, but I think you're icky. And even though you have, you're very open-hearted to me, I'm not at all open-hearted to you. I don't have a sense of your reality. I'm not unified with your reality. I'm very conscious of my separateness. And not only am I not open to you, and we don't have to be open to everyone, but I actually, wish you ill. Now see, there's different steps, because you can behave appropriately. Maybe somebody wants something from you that is not an appropriate request, that they themselves are distorted in their thinking what they want from you is not something you're ever going to give them. And it's fine and right to behave appropriately, but you can't at the same time be mean in your heart. You have to still have to understand this is a divine soul finding its own way. And you can be distant with someone, but still on a divine level remain unified in your heart. This is not God's plan that I give you what you want, but I'm not unconscious of your divine search. I mean, that's getting a little bit subtle, but I'm saying these are all what is lastingly real. Who am I? Where does happiness come from? It falls in a certain spectrum. But we build up certain karmas. I was thinking just yesterday about someone who's passed from this world now. And I behaved relatively well in relation to them. But I still hold in my heart a feeling that I never fully appreciated their reality. And so I feel that as a kind of unresolved karma. You know, it's just sort of about here on the spectrum. And I know that I consistently was clinging too much to my separateness and not enough to my unity. So in the chakra that vibrates like that, I know there's this unfinished business that I'm going to have to deal with. So when we're looking at our chakras at any particular point, we're looking at the accumulated result of every action and every decision that we've made. Now, the more decisions that we make that lift us up, at least from the heart, up toward the spirit, and don't emphasize so much our separateness, which is what the lower chakras tend to represent, the more everything in our life will flow in that direction. And what happens to us, you see, is we might begin to open our hearts and make a certain decision, but each of these chakras represents a field of energy, and it's a habit. It's a habit to be concerned about the self. It's a habit to worry about what's going to happen to me. It's a habit to have answered these questions in a certain way. So even when I begin to want to reach out in a more expanded and unified way, the habit of self-concern is there. Oh, look, here's a wonderful person. I'd really like to be friends with them. Let me see what I could do. But you know, maybe they're just not going to like me like everyone else has not liked me. Or maybe I'm really going to be nice to this person, but he's going to be mean to me as everyone else has been before. And so the energy just goes like this. And we end up walking around as this, we're always walking around as these competing levels of consciousness. And when the mere idea that we want to become somebody else only begins to shift the relative magnetism. And if we've been evil or selfish or in delusion for a very long period of time, we begin to build energy at a higher level, but it won't immediately erase everything that we've done before. Now there's many other aspects to this, and because we're just starting our discussion tonight, I recognize that I'm leaving us in a state of relative confusion, because it's just not possible in this first hour to go through this. So this is going to be like the cliffhanger. We have the heroine is tied on the railroad tracks. So we have the devotee trapped in this confusing array of karmic conditions. And so we'll have to go into the next episode to figure out how we're actually going to resolve it. We have some questions. Okay, let me see what we have. Well, the question, how can we maintain the balance between lower and upper chakras? In actual fact, I think the phrasing of that question, the balance between lower and upper chakras, is not the right question. The question is, and this is what we have to progress through, is that every chakra has a positive and negative way of expressing itself. And so what you want to do is you want to turn the qualities of every chakra in an upward moving direction, and then there's no question of upper and lower. For example, the earth chakra, in its negative form, takes the quality of the earth, of the material world, and creates separateness. The positive expression of the earth quality is that we are steadfast, we are committed, we are grounded, even in our spiritual aspiration. So when I begin to talk about each chakra individually, what I'll talk about is how you take what could be seen as a negative, which is this fixed world, but instead of allowing it to sort of go out on that level where we seek security in the fixity of the world, instead we use the quality of the earth to become solidly committed to our higher ideals. And then it balances automatically, because we have to have the quality of all the lower chakras as well, because otherwise even the upper chakras don't function properly. All of them are required. If you're merely have spiritual aspiration, but you're not grounded in loyalty and solid understanding of what that means, there's no way that you can strengthen this chakra without having this one also cooperating. So we'll go into that more as we progress. Please explain the role of the lower chakras in spiritual life. Well, I was beginning to. This is loyalty. This chakra is the creative capacity to flow intuitively with life. That's the water chakra. This is fiery self-control. Now, the creative capacity to flow with life can also go into a never-ending desire for sensual experiences. Instead of using it creatively to inspire yourself on a higher level, you use it in the most obvious way to seek ever-changing satisfaction from the things of this world. Fiery energy can either be used to dominate and interfere with the destiny of others, or it can be used to direct one's own energy in a spiritual way. This is just the beginning, but all of the lower chakras have to be in order for the upper chakras to work properly. So we'll go into that a little bit more. How are we to know which of our desires, which of our chakras are less evolved or developed? Well, that also will come, because when we understand what the qualities of each of the chakras are, you can look at the way your life is manifesting, and you can begin to see where the weaknesses are. I'll use an example between the heart and the earth chakra, a very good example. Many people are very loving by nature. They have an open-hearted quality. A dear friend of mine, in such a sweet way, said to me, she said, "Loving people has always come very easily to me." I thought that was just so sweet. She says, "I naturally give love to everyone." And that's very dear. Not everyone does that. But some people from their heart just naturally have a loving quality toward everyone. Now, you can be like that, but if that love is not also based on fiery self-control, which is, this is the fire element, or the self-control to realize that merely because I love everyone, it doesn't mean that I can go along with what everybody wants of me, or that my love for people may cause me to get really drawn into bad company all the time, or to make very bad decisions in who I choose for my friends, or to spend all my time trying to help some poor dark person. A friend of mine was described once as, whenever she goes into a group, she finds the darkest person there and then goes over immediately and tries to befriend them. Now, on one hand, that's very sweet, that the person is always wanting to reach out to the darkest person. But the result is that her own life was just chaos. Because all these dark, meaning all these downward pulling people, she was always just completely engaged in this downward pulling world, and she did not really have the strength of character that comes from the third chakra, or the solid understanding of spiritual truth. Who am I really? That enabled her to actually help those people, or at the same time not to confuse her own life. So such a person, really developing the heart quality was less important than for her to develop the earth quality. I am loyal, I am steadfast, I know what the truth is, and I hold to that truth. The fire of divine light burns up all limitations in me, all, in this case, compulsive energy that sends me off on wild goose chases instead of allowing me to hold strong. So by understanding the essential qualities of each chakra, which we will by the time we're done with this course, the essential qualities of each chakra, then you can say, oh, I see, I'm very strong in calmness, but I just don't have enough fire in my life. I'm very good at remaining calmly detached, but I'm really lousy at actually using my willpower to get engaged. So we can see that it's not that we're wrong, and this is the question I was asked, it's just that we're out of balance. Because every single chakra has something vital to contribute to our overall well-being. I didn't really go to that aspect of it today. What I was talking about today, beginning to talk about, is just simply how the chakras are created. The chakras are the storage bank of all of our actions. It's the mechanism by which karma is both created, then communicated, then carried on to the next life. Karma is cause and effect in human relationships. How does it happen that if you steal somebody's money in one incarnation, your own money is stolen in the next life? It's because you have registered this thievery, which is that it doesn't matter what happens to you, it only matters what happens to me. And let's say it gets registered in the third chakra in the negative, which is that I've used my self-control to dominate others. And that becomes a karmic condition that eventually has to be balanced. That eventually one has to realize that what is lastingly real is not what I can get from you, but my unified relationship with a greater reality. Now, I recognize I've raised more questions than I've answered, but I've just tied the heroine to the railroad tracks. The train is coming. How are we ever going to get out of and resolve all of this? Well, we have 3 more sessions, and in those sessions we'll do our best to do that. If you have any questions that didn't get a chance to be answered, just send them in and we can deal with them in the weeks to come. So I think that will be enough for this evening. So God bless you.